absolutely possible. Absolutely possible. There's a great story of two monks, an older monk and a younger monk, who are walking through the forest. And they come to a river, and on the edge of a river is this beautiful young damsel in distress. And she says, "Oh, can either of you help me across this river?" And the younger monk is like, "No, no, 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 no." And the older monk picks her up in his arms and carries her across the entire river and sets her down safely on the other side. And much, much later that day, that took place in the morning, much later that day, finally the younger monk says, "Okay, I can't take it anymore. I've got to tell you, I'm so upset about what you did this morning. We are celibates. We are renunciants. We've taken vows of not being intimate with women, and you took this beautiful woman, you held her in your arms against your chest, you carried her across this river. How is that possible?" And the older monk says, I only carried her in my arms. You've carried her in your mind and your heart. And my arms set her down this morning. But you've carried her in your mind and in your heart all day long. Now, I share that story even though it's not exactly the same situation, because it has the key to it. It's not the object, whether the object is money, whether the object is a house, whether the object is a woman you're carrying across the river. It's not that makes us unspiritual. It's our relationship to it. And so if the monk were carrying her across and having all sorts of, romantic and sensual yearnings, well then, yeah, sure, that's absolutely a violation of his vows. But if he's carrying her across as her father, as her brother, as her son, then it's very pure. In the same way, if my mind is focused on money, that's what I need to be happy. There is something lesser about me because I don't have enough. There is an internal lack in me because I don't have enough. Therefore, I want to have more. That is going to pull me away from spirituality, regardless of whether I even get my head above middle class. So it actually has nothing to do with how much I make and everything to do with what's going on in my mind. A very poor person could actually be deeply unspiritual because their mind is so focused on getting money. Now, if they're so poor that they need it actually to feed their families, that's different. That's doing their dharma. That's their duty. They have to feed their families. But for most people whose minds are constantly obsessed with more and more, they're not people who need the money to put the food on the table. They're not people who are worried that winter's coming and their kids won't have sweaters. They're people for whom there's an emotional, psychological experience of not enough. The culture makes it worse, of course, because the culture, through marketing, through advertising, is always telling us your happiness, your fulfillment, your peace is going to come in what I'm selling you. I mean, this is how advertisements are. If you actually look at any ad, you'll realize they never actually sell what they're selling. Choose any advertisement, a TV commercial, an ad in a newspaper, in a magazine. they're never really about what they're selling. They're always about happiness. So I want to sell you a dishwasher. I'm going to show you a picture of a happy family, and this beautiful wife and her beautiful husband and their beautiful kids are all loading the dishwasher together, and and miraculously the glasses are already clean even though they're putting them into the dishwasher. Like somehow they're pre-clean glasses, no grime, no mess. And here they are loading the dishwasher together. I'm not selling you clean dishes. I'm selling you a happy family. If I want to sell you a car, how am I going to sell it? Typically only one of two ways. Either freedom, and that's the one person in the car driving off into the sunset, nothing but open highway in front of them, this beautiful land. So that's the, do you feel stuck in your life? Get a Toyota. Right? Like if only you had this Toyota, you too would not be stuck in your life. You would be driving off into the horizon in a land as far as the eye can see. Or, again, we sell happiness. And so, happy husband and wife in the front seat, happy kids in the back seat. And you think, my God, my kids try to strangle each other in the back seat of the car. Maybe if I buy this car, my kids are gonna play nice, like the kids in the commercial. So I mention that because it's not all our fault that we move through the world constantly wanting more. We are being constantly inundated with propaganda and marketing to make us believe all the time, A, that we don't have enough, and B, that what that person is trying to sell is the answer to our frustration, to our boredom, to our depression, to our misery that we didn't even know we had, but we certainly have after we see the advertisement. But in order to buy all those things, you need a lot of money. So naturally, I need more money. That sense of I don't have enough, I need more, is the fastest derailer on a spiritual path. And whether it's money, whether it's time, whether it's love, whether it's opportunity, whatever it may be, that sense of something is lacking in my life. There is one thing standing between me and happiness. That's going to derail me from my spiritual path, because spiritual connection says, my cup runneth over. Purnamata. We are poured and we are full, we are whole, we are complete. The moment is perfect. So any other thought is going to derail me. Now, that's true whether I'm middle class or super wealthy. There are lots of people who are super wealthy who still don't think they have enough. Those are going to be the people not spiritual. But then there's other people who maybe they inherited a bunch of money, maybe they got lucky, maybe they happen to really love a job or an innovation that happened for whatever reason to be fantastically successful. You know, a bunch of really smart young people a couple decades ago with the tech boom. Okay, they loved what they were doing. Young kids, working out of garages, and now they're multi-billionaires. But it's not about the money. It's about the mindset. It's the mindset that makes us unspiritual. So you could be one of those or one of anybody who happens to have lots of money, but who's also deeply, deeply spiritual. And again, you could be much lower along the ranks of financial prosperity and be deeply unspiritual because your mind is always focused on money.